Come to the water, you who are thirsty. Though you have no money, come. Buy new wine, corn, drink, have your fill. What a beautiful reading from the prophet Isaiah. What a beautiful reading to have this Sunday as we baptise and we welcome and we confirm the RCIA, this Mass, and our RCIT, the teenagers, at our youth Mass tonight. What does this mean, come to the water? God constantly wants to give us blessings. From the Garden of Eden, God said to Adam and Eve, have everything you want, just don't touch that tree. Have everything. And God has always wanted to give us so many blessings. But time and time and time we've broken that covenant. And finally the people have come back from Babylon in what we call the deportation. And they've come back to Jerusalem, finally, to their temple. And it's in ruins. And God, through the prophet Isaiah, says, come, I want to give you again so many blessings. Our gospel today is again a renewal of that covenant of Moses in the desert, where God gave them something to eat. Jesus, the new covenant, gives them something on a hillside. This gospel is extraordinary, the one that Father James read out today. The gospel is a linchpin, a watershed, a turning point in Christ's ministry. This story, this miraculous feeding of the 5,000, actually occurs in all four Gospels, the only miracle that occurs in all four. And in fact, it occurs 6 times. Now, it's an extraordinary gospel. Why? Let me just break it open line by line. Jesus had just heard about John the Baptist, and he's over at Gennesaret and coming across the Sea of Galilee. And he says, let's go to a lonely place. Can I tell you, in Galilee at Jesus' time was not a lonely place. The Gold Coast here has 1,400 people every square kilometre. In Jesus' day, there were 284 people every square kilometre. So there was a lot of people there. So why did he say, let's go to a lonely place? Because he wanted to match Moses in the desert, that deserted place. And then Jesus saw them when he stopped off the boat, and he took pity on them. Why would they say took pity? As if to say, oh, poor people, they don't have anything. It wasn't put down. The pity was, Jesus was reflecting what was happening in the psalm. He took pity on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. And being the good shepherd, the new good shepherd, how do we know Jesus is the new good shepherd? Because he said, get the people to sit down on the grass. If you've ever been to Galilee, there's no grass. Why would Jesus say, get them to sit down on the grass beside the Sea of Galilee? Because he is the good shepherd. By the quiet waters I will lead you. By green pastures you will sit down, and I will give you a table furnished again with food. And he's just about to do that. And he takes the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. He takes them, blesses them, breaks them, and hands them out to the disciples. Do you hear the Eucharist? You'll hear it in today's Eucharistic prayer. Every Mass, he takes the bread, blesses it, breaks it, and gives it to them. This gospel is talking about the new covenant. This gospel is talking about Jesus, the good shepherd. This gospel is talking about the new Moses that Jesus is, giving people in the desert the lonely place. This gospel is the institution, again, of the Eucharist. And who does he hand the loaves and fish to? The disciples. This gospel is the institution of the church. He gives the Eucharist, the bread and fish, to the disciples who then give it to the people. This gospel is an extraordinary gospel because it talks about so many dimensions of Christ giving to us. And 2,000 years later, we're still doing it. Not that you'll get any fish today, okay? But you'll get bread, we'll get wine, we'll get the blessing of the Good Shepherd, we'll get those graces of us coming to our baptismal water. Nothing will ever separate us, if you believe that, from the love of God. No principality, no nation, no height, no depth, no power, no pandemic, no Karen, nothing will separate us from the love of God if we come to the water and be blessed.